All right, so welcome again. The discussion topic for today is character building. Um, it's kind of an introduction or the importance of character building, right? As always, everything we discuss is based on the teachings of Master Choa Kok and we will be referring to his books, which essentially means I'll be reading from them. The books that we will use today, as always, is The Ancient Science and Art of Pranic Healing, which is, in short, the basic pranic healing book or the level one book, as most people know it. We will also refer to Achieving Oneness with the Higher Soul or the Soul book. We will look at, I have a lot of books, right? So, Compassionate Objectivity, the Golden Lotus Sutta, the little tiny ones. We will focus today on Compassionate Objectivity, which is the Golden Lotus Sutra on character building. So, there's a whole book on it. Uh, we've got like 2 pages each. And if time permits and interest hold, then we will look at pranic psychotherapy. Something here worth discussing. But we'll see. I also have to ensure that everybody has done psychotherapy courses. Otherwise, I get edited out, which is more an admin task for Gauri than anything else. Okay, let us start with the discussion. As always, we'll talk about what is character building, why is it important, why should we bother doing anything about that. Then we'll talk about how to do this, and a few no's as well, as in what it is not, what we should not focus on, and things like that. And it would help if you can give your perspectives as well. So help us all learn and get different perspectives. Okay, so let us begin. We'll start with what is, let's talk a little bit about what is character building, right? In the books, we'll talk about the techniques and the reasons why doing it. But in very, very simple terms, when we talk about character building, of course, it's an English, well, character and building are English words, right? So they're kind of self-explanatory. But when we're talking about character building, we are talking about consciously making an effort to live our life in a manner that we are increasing our wholesome behavior or virtues, and we are reducing or eliminating our weaknesses or vices. And that is the important part here. Uh, Virtues up, vices down, and it's a conscious effort. A lot of us, I mean, just because you're not in this room or you're not aware of Master Choa's teachings doesn't mean people are not building their characters. Of course they are. But we are talking about certain conscious activities. We'll talk about a framework as well, which we can use to practice character building. And that's probably the simplest way of defining it. It's a practical thing for us to live our life in a certain manner, which ultimately should help us increase our wholesome activities and reduce the unwholesome ones. Now, why do we do that? Let's refer to the book. So we'll start with Achieving Oneness with the Higher Soul. If anybody's following the book itself, then I'm on chapter 18, which is on 5 virtues. Again, there's a whole chapter on that, a bunch of pages, but we'll read a section of it. So for people here especially, when you do meditations, you have to practice yama and niyama or character building. Without this, there's a tendency to become worse. Why? After you had a good meditation, you feel blissful, right? But after 2 or 3 days, have you not experienced getting angry or being in a bad mood? Meditating regularly is like being fertilized. Throw the fertilizer on the ground, and whatever is in the ground, either good or bad, will grow. Everything vice or virtue is magnified. Unless a person in the spiritual path practices character building, he or she may become worse. So that's one very important reason, especially for a group of people who are engaging themselves in any kind of spiritual activity, right? So meditation is one of them. But whenever we are doing that, and I think people who have been attending this session regularly, I probably would have read this one paragraph many, many times. And I promise you, I'll continue to do so. Because one of the most important ones for us, because it gives us the reason and very clearly, and it's also, this is a safety protocol. You do not want to meditation and engage in what you believe is a good practice. Spend some time on that, either in this session on a Wednesday afternoon, evening, or at any point in time. If you're taking some time out, you want positive results out of that. But if the same practice is actually giving you negative results, um, then it's kind of demotivating and doesn't serve the purpose, can be harmful. And because of that, it is important to practice character building. So if we have seeds or tendencies of anger, resentment, laziness. What else can we talk about? Stealing, yeah, second virtue. But any of these tendencies, if we have them in our system, we are pouring fertilizers on top of that, according to Master Chua, which means they will magnify, and some of them can exponentially magnify. And the fun part is some of the tendencies which we are not aware of, they may come to surface and they may start bothering us. Like you might think, hey, I never used to behave this way. Why am I doing that? Here's the answer to that, because you probably had a teeny tiny bit of tendency and now it has been magnified because of the fertilizing effect of meditation. So on one point, if you behave badly in life or if you do not like the way you behave, again, no judgments, but let's say if you consider that you are doing something which you yourself find unwholesome, then you can blame your meditation practice that, hey, I was okay before I did the meditations, but now somebody has just turned on a switch. Now, unfortunately, this thing, according to Master Choa, is inevitable. It will happen. But the solution is to not stop practicing meditation or spiritual practices. Because again, keep in mind, the idea is if spiritual energy comes into our system, it will fertilize whatever is there. Meditation is not the only way to bring down spiritual energy. If you're nice to somebody, there's an input of spiritual energy. If you're kind, if you're forgiving, if you're generous, if you give time to somebody, if you encourage somebody, all of these positive, wholesome actions increase the amount of spiritual energy in our system, right? I mean, for people, we have all done classes, so our spiritual cord goes wide, even if it is momentarily. When it does, energy comes in, it's inevitable. So running away from meditations is really not going to help anybody. And of course, I assume this group does not want to run away from meditation, but keep that in mind. Hence, it is important to practice this regularly. That's one very, very good reason. Let us look at one more perspective on that to scare us a little. Okay, this is from Lotus Sutras now. Your life should be balanced. Your spiritual development must be balanced. In general, principles should not be compromised. Uh, these are quotations, so some of these may appear out of context, but these are quotations from different lectures put together. So let's just carry on. The reason some people are in big trouble in their life is because they have big character flaws. Faults occur because of pride, stealing, unregulated chaotic emotions, and insistence in supporting ridiculous statements and stands. Remember, your soul has to get dirty to throw mud. Character building is a manifestation of your spiritual development. So, the point that I wanted to bring out here is the reason why some people are in big trouble. So, if we are having problems in our lives, it could be, well, actually, there's no ambiguity here. Master Choa is very, very specific. The reason some people are in trouble is because they have big character flaws. Now this is something we see in Master Choa's teachings quite a lot, that we never get the option of being a victim. Everything that is going on in our life, we have control over it. Good or bad, we are responsible for it. The good thing is we can deal with it as well if we are the only ones who are responsible and in control. And well, a few weeks down the line, when we talk about the law of karma, again, we'll cover this in detail. But that's the big part of it. So if we have character flaws, by practicing character building, we can get rid of them and plant wholesome tendencies. Hence, practices actively. Okay. So that's the understanding of what it is and why is it that we should practice. I would just like to add something on my own. This is not from the book, right? What character building is not. It is not a license for excessive self-criticism. A lot of us get into that tendency that when we talk about character building, the immediate thing to do is to look for flaws. What's wrong with me? Where am I not being right? What is the unwholesome tendency? Am I angry all the time? Nobody stops and thinks, hey, look at me. I'm so loving and kind and generous. I've started being more patient. We just take that for granted, which is beautiful in a way, because if you look at from a soul perspective, we don't have flaws. We are all very nice, pure beings. Uh, Actually, let me skip that track and keep that for soul class for people. But point being, we get very attached to, or we are very touchy about the vices. or the weaknesses within ourselves, but we don't really sit down and congratulate ourselves on the virtues that we might have developed over a period of time, right? So, like if you've been practicing character building for some time and you suddenly find yourself doing more wholesome things, you won't focus on that. Well, you may, I don't. The tendency is a lot of times to, okay, what next to tackle? What is it that I need to work on? What is my problem? So, character building is not that. It's not an exercise of talking yourself into depression of how bad you are. No, not at all. None of that. And we'll talk about how to do some of the practices. The other thing which I want to emphasize is character building is not a 5 or 10 minute exercise to be done daily. We'll talk about what we can do tangibly to practice some of the things and some of the techniques. And we'll talk about inner reflection from resolution. We'll talk about the whiteboard technique. If time permits, we'll talk about another technique from psychotherapy book. But I just want to remind ourselves that character building does not mean spending 10 minutes, 5 minutes every day, every other day, whatever that we are doing. Character building is about how we spend your entire day. So let me take an example. Let's say um, when we talk about character building, Master Chua has given us a framework of 5 virtues, right? I think most of you are aware of that. If not, it is there in all the books. We can refer to, for example, let's just refer to the first book that all of us came across, which is Basic Pranic Healing or Level 1 book. In that, at the very end, there's a chapter called Character Building with 5 virtues. And if you remember from your class, and I generally don't expect you to, a few of these were discussed in detail in the class itself. But there's a framework, and it says loving kindness and non-injury, generosity and non-stealing. And there's almost a one-page explanation for all of these: honesty and non-lying, industriousness and non-laziness, moderation and non-excessiveness. So 5 virtues they and we're not going to talk about these in detail today, maybe the next session, but it gives you a framework on how to practice that, right? So what I was talking about was how to inculcate these or add these in your daily life, right? So let's say if for the time being you decide to focus on the virtue of loving kindness and non-injury, then yes, we have a whiteboard technique available. We will do that. Yes, we have inner reflection from resolution available to us. Yes, we will do that. But at the same time, let's appreciate the fact that most people in this world are not aware of these techniques. Does that mean they cannot develop their character? Does that mean they cannot practice these? You know, what what we started with the definition: increase wholesome behavior and reduce unwholesome behavior or vices or weaknesses. If that's the case, then we need to look at pretty much every moment of our lives from that perspective. So if you're practicing loving kindness, you pretty much go on a lookout for opportunities to practice it. Okay, I have through my day, did I have an opportunity to be loving, patient, and kind? Okay, yes, maybe I did. Did I take it? Did I actually behave patiently, or did I snap or lose my cool? If yes, then you observe. And that's part of inner reflection. But the moment you have this opportunity, let's say you suddenly come across somebody who's being super irritated with you. In your head, if you can get your bell to ring and say, okay, this is an opportunity to practice loving kindness, then you'll almost smile. I was reading this one book where forget the name of the author, but he's like his perspective towards angry people was like, look, don't get angry at me, otherwise I'll get kinder and kinder and kinder with you, and my kindness will outlast your anger, which is, I mean, he said it more beautifully. But I love the idea of it that the moment somebody triggers you, instead of getting triggered, if you suddenly logged it in your head as an opportunity to practice patience, and it's almost like a game that you have to win. I am going to outlast this person's irritation by my patience. Let's see who wins. Again, it's not a competition, but I'm simply giving an example of, how we can put this in our daily lives. You know, can we be kind to ourselves? Excessive criticism. Oh my God, I did this again. Oh my God, I did that again. All right, again, grab that as an opportunity. If we do, then we are practicing loving kindness. And the same holds true for every virtue. So instead of going ahead and having a not so good day, uh, being angry, being upset, being irritated, and coming back in the end and just doing the techniques to erase that, Uh, that's better than doing nothing. But if you work with the awareness, and if you would have noticed in Master Choa's teachings, he's a big fan of awareness. Well, so am I, thanks to him. But that really, really helps. Okay. So I'll take a pause here. Uh, Time flies. But yeah, any thoughts, questions, suggestions, experiences? Somebody unmuted. Who's that? Go first.
I yesterday my daughter was really upset with my son for doing something, and he was like beside herself. And I phoned my son up, and he's like, "Am I in trouble?" And I was like, "I'm just going to come and pick you up." And then rather than shouting at him, I was able to just be really calm and say, let me hear your side of the story first before I make any assumptions. Whereas in the past, I would have like been so triggered by my daughter being upset that I would have just straight away laid into it.
Nice. That's good. It feels good to do that, right?
Yeah, and then it enabled, because of that, like he wasn't then so defensive. So he then apologized to my daughter and they made friends and then got on really well. Whereas if I'd have put him in a defensive mood, then he would have been like he doesn't go well when he's defensive. So yeah, it worked out well. I was glad.
I'm glad. Good to hear. Thanks. Rekha, you had something to add as well?
It would be a suggestion if somebody
Please.
could suggest something. Like in my daughter's case, her manager changed and everything has changed about her. I think she's having a go at her all the time. I don't know. She was doing very well and she has a go at her and she has done everything. And she said, "Oh, I've done this." And then she would not say anything to her. She said, "Oh," and then she'll find some other topic to demoralize her. It's been happening for 4 months and she's at the verge of quitting it. And I said, "No, you're not going to quit because you're doing everything right. So why? So how can she turn it around? It is a very difficult. This is
Okay.
because she's
Well,
she's a very confident girl, but I think her confidence is coming down.
I
I
can I
suggested
can
her
understand.
whiteboard technique,
So you said the whiteboard technique, okay?
but she does not do meditation. She does,
Okay.
yeah. I don't know
Well,
what to
I'll,
suggest.
I'll I can give you a personal short story on this topic, but to help. Um, but let's see. Anybody else has any suggestions to help, Rekha? Any experiences to share? Yes, Rama, please
Hi,
go.
yeah, my name is Rama and I'm from States. Atma Namaste to everyone here.
Okay.
Um, we have been trying to deal with what I suggested to Rekha is infusing the heart of her manager, the back heart chakra, with love and kindness and compassion. We are trying to heal the manager
Yeah.
with love and compassion, infusing her heart when we do the healing for her. Because in what I learned in pranic healing, you don't wait for anybody to ask you for healing. You can
Yeah.
heal anyone and help that way. That's what we have been trying to help her with.
Okay.
This is what we did. I'm doing it because obviously her manager has developed this nature not in a day or two. It's been going on for a long time. So it will take time.
Okay. Well, uh, Rekha, I'm going to tell you, well, I don't know a short story or not, but a story. But I'll do it at the end of the session. Slightly off topic. But I had a horrible manager, and with what we are talking about, it turned around. So I have like a real life case study to give you. So we'll come back to that. Anything else on character building and what it is, why we should be doing it? Any insights on that? Please go ahead. No? Okay. Uh, uh, Rekha, I won't forget. I'll come back. All right. Let's talk. So we talked about what is character building. Again, character building is a conscious effort. That's the most important part that I want to emphasize here, that we are trying to do something consciously. And what we're trying to do is increase the good stuff and bring down the negative stuff in very simple languages, or virtues, vices, whichever you. Why are we doing this at all? As in, this is again something very important to understand is And I will quote Master Cho again from Compassionate Objectivity. Vices are also energies. They can be disintegrated. It's just a simple sentence, but it is so empowering because you're not helpless if there's a vice that you want to work on within yourself. It's okay. It's an energy that needs to be erased. It's like, think of, you have a white shirt and there's a stain on it, and you can take care of it because you know that stains can be removed and you know how to remove them. And that's it. If you think from that perspective, again, we are not a victim. We're not going to suffer. Oh my God, look at that. I'm like this. I can't do much with it. I don't know how to deal with it. None of that. Right? There are ways to do things. So now let's talk about certain specific practices that we can and we should do. There is one more thing which I came across, and this is based on some conversation with some people who are not very comfortable with character building because it forces them to accept the simple fact that there are weaknesses and there are vices, and it's like it makes them feel dirty. Oh, I have to remove anger from within me. What are you saying? I'm full of anger, and a whole different trigger point. And I spent some 15, 20 minutes or more of my life just trying to calm the person down and make the point, which I did not succeed, but I thought it's worth talking about. So one very simple way of looking at character building or any purification activities, and we're talking about inner purification, which is removing of vices or weaknesses, is like taking a shower. And the two or three very common observations. I think we have all had more than one shower in our life. One is it is needed. You like it, you don't like it, it is needed. Second, you need to take it regularly. On a hot day like today, you might need to take it twice a day, but it needs to be done. Every time you need to take a shower, you don't look at yourself and say, and get disgusted with yourself and say, look at me, how dirty I have gotten myself again. No, it's just something, it's part of being human. We will have vices, we will have weaknesses, we will lose our cool, we will lie out of convenience or whatever, and we will be lazy. We will not do what we're supposed to do. We will do some stuff that we know that if we're doing the whiteboard technique, we will end up erasing it, but we are still doing it. It's fine. The idea is not and this is not, again, don't get yourself depressed just by looking at your own weaknesses. That's the last thing to do, right? And there's one more thing which I had found out. Yeah. A good person is not completely good, nor a bad person completely bad. You do not have to be perfect, at least not in this lifetime. I mean, this is a very free pass for me to be a little misbehaved, naughty, and have some vices, and it's okay. As long as I'm dealing with them, as long as I know how to deal with them, I'm all good, right? So that's very, very important. Now, in terms of what to do and some practical practices to do, we all know these. So we'll start again with the level 1 book. I keep picking this book up just to remind myself that most of what we are talking about was covered in the very first class, in the very first book that we came across. The same teachings are repeated in many other books, but I deliberately try picking this up. And again, this is obviously a meditation on twin heart session, so it's open to everybody. So I'm not necessarily here, but we can encourage people to take these courses for this also. All right, so let's look at the suggested schedule for inner reflection and firm resolution. We will have a separate session on inner reflection, firm resolution, and different ways of looking at it and doing it, maybe next week, maybe the week after. So I won't get into that, but just the minor things. So I'll read just one paragraph. One should try to master one virtue at a time. So if you are looking at implementing the framework given by Master Chua Kukse, then it is wise to pick one at a time, not all. Some of us have heard the stories from Master Hector about toothpick and him breaking one at a time, two at a time, and all of that. If yes, then that would relate immediately. If not, then think about the fact that if you have to, even that works with paper as well. If you're trying to tear the paper, it's easier to do one at a time. But if I give you the entire notebook and say, okay, can you do that? You're probably going to struggle. I mean, I have no intention of tearing this apart anyways, but if I did, I'll struggle. Hence, it is easy to disintegrate things one at a time. That's one important bit. So if you are adopting this framework, then please go one at a time. That's one. You should try and practice and concentrate on one virtue for about 2 months, 2 to 3 months. Take your pick. Now, how to do this? Meditate on what you have done the whole day in relation to that virtue. Okay. Meditates in this case would simply mean take some time out, sit down, relax, collect your thoughts, and see, observe, and focus on your day. And it is good to do it against, in this framework. So if you were practice, like I was talking, I'll stick to the example of loving kindness for simplicity. But if you're talking about loving kindness, you analyze your day in the morning. Okay, how was my behavior? How were my thoughts, my speech, my actions? So again, inner reflection from resolution on multiple levels. It's possible, right? So look at these parameters and see how you are, and then go through the day. Be aware firstly of the good things you have done. And I cannot emphasize this enough. We skip over this. We look at our mistakes and we immediately want to change them, erase them, and do whatever it takes to walk away from them. That's step two. Do step one. Step one is very, very, very important for good self-esteem. Otherwise, after doing this practice for weeks and months, you will think that you are the worst person on this planet, which is not the purpose, right? So please, first step, be aware of the good things you have done. And again, if you have limited time, that doesn't mean we skip this part. Then you pick one good quality and one bad quality. Okay. And when you do this again, I'll keep reading. Master says this better. This will develop your self-esteem. Then at the same time, be aware of your mistakes. This is called inner reflection. So inner reflection is be aware of your good behavior through that day and be aware of your mistakes. Both put together, that's inner reflection. Part two, mentally erase the negative event and imagine that you are doing the right thing at least 5 times. Okay, we'll do it 3 times right now for the sake of time, but at least 5 times is the guideline. We're all adults, so do what you think is right for yourself, but that's the guideline. This is called firm resolution. So the first part was observation, the second part was action and correction, which is firm resolution. The mechanism behind this is that repeated wholesome thoughts manifest as wholesome actions. Repeated wholesome actions will in long run manifest as virtues. One should intensively practice inner reflection and firm resolution for at least 2 years. And for people who are looking to take Adhatic Yoga in the near future, I can assure you this 2-year timeline is going to move to the rest of your life. So that's good fun. Okay. But yeah, so let us take a few minutes and just practice this. So for simplicity, let's imagine that we are all practicing the virtue of loving kindness at this point. And let us just evaluate our last 24 hours. Okay. So if you need to close your eyes, close your eyes. You can do this with eyes open. The idea is simply to go through the day. For simplicity, again, let's do this chronologically. So evaluate yesterday from the moment you woke up. Okay. Um, okay. Now identify one or two or at max 3 actions, words, or thoughts of yours where you were loving, where you were kind, where you were patient, or you were forgiving. Think of those. If for some reason you had a day where you cannot think of these kind of things, then think of moments where you had an opportunity to be nasty, angry, but you chose not to do that. Okay? Imagine yourself in that situation and appreciate yourself. Simplest way of doing that is you can just tap your shoulder, tap your back. Oh, well done. I did well. I know, very un-British, but we can do it. Okay. So it's about, yeah, I'm a good person. This is using the words, using the touch. This is muscle memory. You're putting this in your system that, hey, I'm a good person. All right. Second, now let's find something that you're not happy about. Need not be a big thing. And don't be overly critical. And we are not looking for reasons behind our thought, speech, and action. We are simply looking at the facts. Okay. Did we lose our cool? Were we verbally angry? Uh, in case if anybody here was physically angry, if you slapped somebody around, you can think of that as well. Uh, and if you think, hey, I had none of those, then observe your thoughts. Were you critical? Master Choa says one of the easiest way of spotting if you're angry at somebody is to see who are you criticizing constantly or regularly. So were your thoughts critical? If that's the case, then mentally erase this negative event and imagine you're doing the right thing. Again, as we did the last few times, if it's easy, you can imagine this as your life as a movie, your day as a movie. You find the scene where you're not behaving the way you would like, and you're the editor of your movie as well, so you can just cut that scene. So that's how we just simply erase that mentally. I'm deliberately not doing the whiteboard technique so that we understand that we can do it without it as well. Okay. Now you're replacing that with a different scene. Again, it's your movie. Do what you want. So a wholesome behavior. If this was about verbal anger, then imagine having kind words. If that is difficult for you, imagine refraining from unkind words. If you were thinking negatively or critically about somebody, imagine thinking about positive qualities of that person. And in the extreme scenario, if you found yourself hating somebody, imagine yourself refraining from doing that. Okay. Good. So we have just in 2 minutes practiced inner reflection and firm resolution. This activity needs to be done 5 times, right? And when we're doing it 5 times, let us stick to the instruction. You are doing the right thing mentally 5 times. Why are we doing this? Repeated thought, repeated action manifests as virtue. That's the principle behind it. Again, I keep telling myself, I know I can't change the past. I'm changing the pattern. All right, so we'll do the second time. Go back to your movie, go back to your day, and find that one place where your behavior was unwholesome. I'm choosing my words carefully. Okay. Now, imagine mentally erasing this. Use your imagination. Maybe the picture goes blur and it just goes out of focus. It just did not happen. And now replace it with the wholesome behavior. Right. Third time, no thinking. Go back to the exact same instance of unwholesome behavior. See it, observe it, then mentally erase it. Now imagine doing the right thing. And now that you have done the right thing, you can smile at yourself. You can tap your back again. Good job. In future, that's how I'm going to behave. Okay. This is it. We have done this for 3.5 minutes. If we extend it to 5 times, we probably will end up doing this in 5 minutes. And I'm deliberately pointing out the time that it just takes 5 minutes. We did not do any whiteboard technique, which means you can do this anywhere, anytime. You can be in a crowded place, you can be on the tube, in a bus, on a bus station, wherever. If you want, you can do that. So essentially, no excuses for not doing it if you decide to do it, right? I mean, again, it's our choice whether we want to do this or not. But this is one of the techniques given to us by Master Choa. For those of us who want to follow, this is how we would do it, and we would do it 5 times. Just a reminder one more time, you start with the positive. You congratulate yourself, you celebrate that, you can do what you want. Dance if you want to dance about that. Uh, but the point is you have to acknowledge that because that is what develops self-esteem. One of the biggest issues with most people, especially when they got on spiritual path, is low self-esteem and depression because it's a seed which gets fertilized. So you need to nurture it yourself. Nobody else is coming to do that for you. Meditation automatically helps us doing that, but this is needed in addition to that. All right. So what else do we have for today? Any other questions? Anything else? Any suggestions, comments come to my mind? To anybody's mind? No? All right. Before I continue, just let me take a second.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. So the
Yeah.
point of doing it, is it to kind of rehearse what we do next time to change the future, or does it actually change something kind of in the field by doing that?
How do I respond to that? Excellent question here. Um, Again, you need to think of this from, okay, I'll give you my understanding of it, right? And why am I able to do this? And why I'm able to talk to you all about doing it. Um, a lot of times, the past events, I mean, we know, at least in my head, I can't go and change the past, so I'm not doing that. But what I'm trying to do is, if I behaved, let's stick with this virtue. If I behaved angrily on a particular day and I'm erasing that situation, what I am doing is I am breaking that pattern because in future, and you're right, we are trying to make sure that we are, again, if I just quote the teacher again, 1 second. The mechanism behind this is that repeated wholesome thought manifests as wholesome actions. Repeated wholesome action will, in the long run, manifest as a virtue. So when we find ourselves in a situation where we would have typically reacted with maybe anger in this case, our instinct will be to be kind and be loving. And that is what we are trying to achieve through this. So the example that you took with your children, that is a very good example of that. And in the past, you would have behaved in a certain way, but this helps you behave completely differently in a new way, right? Now, I mean, there can be a lot of discussion in terms of energy and time, but I have nothing to refer to in terms from Master Choa's book, so I will zip it. Uh, but hey, use your imagination. There's a lot of people who have a very different understanding of time as well. Uh, but no, not as per the teachings of Master Choa. He did not go in that kind of a thing, but yeah, there are books which talk differently as well. But I like the idea because A, I'm not hard on myself the moment I do that, right? If I'm being hard on myself that look at me, I behaved angrily again. I know, hey, look, I've done what I can after doing that, right? And I'll practice forgiveness and do other things, and I'm at peace. So this is very, very good for me to kind of deal with that as well. I mean, I'm not a therapist, so I don't have the right vocabulary for that, but it helps me move forward. And so that's also an important thing. But again, that is my opinion. That is not as per the teachings. That's why I directly read from the book. Repeated wholesome thoughts to wholesome actions, and that's how we develop the virtue and essentially make it an instinct. That's the person you become after that, which is amazing, right? Again, as I said, I like that example from the other book. Don't get angry at me, otherwise I'm going to get super kind because now that is my instinct, right? So that's effectively it. Anything else comes to mind? Silent watches, anything? Not today? Okay. So let us. Uh, all right. So, Rekha, coming back to your question, your daughter's having a tough time at her work because her manager is not so nice and keeps pointing out flaws and faults, and nothing she does is right.
Can't be good enough.
Yes, yes. Unfortunately, some of us have had managers like this. I did, and this is many, many years ago, and I had learned something, and I decided to experiment with that. So I would recommend that you tell this to your daughter and see if she's open to it, which is very simple, forgiveness technique. Request her, uh, for people who are not pranic healers, they don't want to understand colors, heart chakras, and all of that, and I completely get it. I'm simply talking about a logical explanation could be that, hey, if somebody is bothering you a lot in this life, there is something which is unresolved between two. Now, it's again for people who are not into this path, slightly difficult to accept that, hey, I never met the person before and I never did anything wrong to them. You go and tell them you did something wrong to them in the previous incarnation, it's not going to fly, right? So, all you got to do is tell them that, hey, you just need to pump positive energy into that person's system. And one of the good ways of doing it is practicing forgiveness, right? So since that person is being nasty to you right now, so the concept of I need to forgive him because is easy to understand for almost everybody, whether they meditate or they do not meditate. So request her to practice forgiveness. And I'll give you my example. So I had this nasty boss. This person was, he believed that the best way of managing is managing by fear. So he will keep everybody on their toes. Nothing is good enough, constant criticism. And well, to be honest, it got a lot of people to do more than that they would have done without that criticism. But in the long run, it never works. It burns you out. It drops your self-esteem. Nothing good really comes out of it. But that was his style, and he stuck to it. So he would constantly point out flaws in the work, in people, sometimes get personal about it. And we were a team of, I don't know, big team, 50 odd people who were suffering because of this one person. So I decided to practice forgiveness. And I would do exactly what I said, the forgiveness technique that we used, which has very simple words, right? And you can drop any uncomfortable words from that. So if God or whatever in the past, any of that is uncomfortable, it could be very simple that, hey, um, may you have peace. I forgive you for the hurt and pain that you have caused me. Please forgive me for the hurt and pain that I may have caused you. And peace be with you and peace be with me. Something as simple as that, right? You can drop every detail of it, doesn't matter because we are working on energy. Words can be different, languages can be different, doesn't matter. Do this exercise a few times every day and see what happens. So, what I did was exactly the same. And at that point, if you ask me to go and do some invocation and talk about God and all of that, then I would be out of there. So, I did the simplest version of it. And after a few weeks, and it's been a decade, I don't remember. But after a few weeks, the person's behavior to me was very nice. The guy becomes respectful, patient. He would listen to me. Suddenly, what I was saying was making sense, even though I was saying exactly the same thing as I was used to say in the past, which was not good enough. But now it was good enough. And now it was better than good enough. And everything was great. And the guy became really nice to me. And then my colleague started coming to me and says, what did you do? That guy is nice to you, but he's so bad to all of us. Right? So that was I didn't observe that, but it was pointed out to me. I didn't tell them about the forgiveness technique, but I was like, oh, okay. So my relationship, this forgiveness exercise worked on improving my relationship with my boss, and that became nice. It did not change the person because he was still nasty to others, but he was no longer nasty to me. I didn't stop there. I continued blessing him. Uh, about 6 months later, I found myself in a situation that we were living in two different continents and I never had to deal with it ever in my life, out of my life. And this is something then which was pointed out to me by some people I used to study with, that if you want someone out of your life, you bless them and you forgive them. So practicing forgiveness can A, improve the relationship, B, it may put you in a situation where you don't have to deal with that person anymore. And I am not here trying to be all nice and change somebody. With all due respect to that person, I really did not care if he became a better person. I was not their mother trying to make them a better human being. I simply wanted my relationship to be harmonious. And by simply practicing forgiveness and doing nothing else, uh, this happened. And then I told a few of my colleagues. Half of them laughed at it. Two or three of them implemented it, and their life became better. So it's
But
a matter of time. It works, but I can't predict of how long it will take.
it can be done any time of the day, or whenever she feels comfortable.
Multiple times as well. Go for it. There's no limit to it. So, I mean, be reasonable but as in, look, there's no downside if you want to sit and forgive somebody every hour. There's no downside to it. But then you're also focusing a lot on their flaws. So it's probably best, once in a day, patiently, with some love, patience, tolerance in your heart, or at the very least with no anger in your heart, do it. So, and another thing, by the way, Rekha, just one final bit on that. It doesn't matter how you feel when you do it. You can do it when you're super angry, because you are again repeated wholesome words into wholesome actions, into wholesome tendencies. We are changing the energy pattern here. So if she's still upset, right, she can be like, okay, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you. I guarantee you it will work.
This
But
is the way she'll do it. I know her. This is the way she'll do it.
that's fine. And again, observe her. 6 weeks later, this is not the way she will do it. She will be able to do it with a lot more love. But if she buys it, if she is willing to, then this might help. And again, I'm telling you a real life case story. I was very happy to put that person and myself in two different continents. So, which is lovely.
Is
Okay.
this technique written out in one of the books?
I guess I will look for it. Whether it is it. And well, Gauri shared in the group one video by Master Ko, I think a day or two ago. If you just scroll, you will see that, which is the forgiveness technique itself. Master Ko is teaching that in significantly better manner, but the technique is essentially the same. Because in your head, if you get the formula right, okay, what is the first thing I have to do? Okay, for the group of pranic healers, the first thing you're doing is you're recognizing the person as the soul. That's why we insist on looking into the eyes. Uh, you can't tell that to your daughter, that's fine. But the first thing is you recognize each other as, okay, we are souls, not bodies, or not our words, actions, and nasty stuff. Then step one is you forgive the other person. So you don't start with asking for forgiveness, but you forgive. So you forgive. Once you have done forgiving, then you ask for forgiveness, because it also works in a way that you're kind of generating entitlement to be forgiven by forgiving first. Then you forgive the person, and then you bless both. And you do this 5 times, and then you imagine them going away. There's a beautiful video by Master Choi. He said, okay, if you don't like somebody, just imagine you picking them up and throwing them to China. And that was very funny, but not recommended. And he also said it was a joke. But it made me laugh when I threw myself out of the country into UK, and he stayed there, and it was good fun. But yeah, you can do it. So sorry, did I answer the question or over talk?
Thank you. Nice.
Okay, I hope that helps.
Good.
Okay, any other observations, suggestions, stories? Yeah. All right. In that case, thank you so much for joining. I hope you had a good session, and we
Thank you
will
so much.
continue next week. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank
Sid.
you. Thank you,
See
Sid.
ya.
See you next week.
See you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.